Mr. Chair, my first question is on the increase in budget. From 2023, the proposed budget is 5.5% higher. That is 263.1 million. Can you explain which programs were augmented, reason which yielded an increased budget by 263.1 million, Mr. Chair? At least, Mr. Chair, can we identify the programs which were augmented that yielded this increase by 263.1 million compared to the budget for the current year, Mr. Chair?
Thank you for the question, ma'am. The totality of the increase of the agency's budget comprises of both directional swings in each item allocation. So some major items could have increased, some other items could have decreased. So we don't have the specific information as to what led to the net effect as of the moment, but I will gladly provide you with that particular information within the day, ma'am. But I would like to stress again the salient features of the budget. We did have additional funding requirements for personal services requirements. So a bulk of that, to my estimation, madam, would go to the increased personal services requirements for the Office of the Ombudsman for fiscal year 2024. And then again, we would be needing additional equipments in the form of additional motor vehicles, additional office equipments, and additional communication, medical, and other properties. For these three items, motor vehicles, office equipments, and communication, medical, and other property, that would translate to roughly 120 million pesos already. Again, we would also be needing funds for the rehabilitation of the main office building amounting to 50 million pesos and additional provision for ICT requirements for 217 million. Again, unfortunately, as explained earlier, the net effect would have to be determined more specifically in a separate statement of such balances, ma'am. But we do have funding requirements for these items which I mentioned. Thank you po.
Mr. Chair, the Office of the Ombudsman mentioned PS, personal service, as one of the reasons for the increase in its budget from the current year. It appears, however, from the report that from 2020 to 2024, 47% of all posts were unfilled. So can you please enlighten us how we are introducing an increase in the personal service when there remains 47% of our plantilla which are still unfilled? That is from 2020 to 2024, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for that question.
Thank you for the question, Congressman Luistro. Your Honor, yung mga unfilled positions, mula na since yung office, ay talagang sinasadyang hindi namin mafilapan dahil pinag-aralan ko pa mula noon ano yung naging cause ng inordinate delay. This is a problem, a recurring problem. So bago ako mag-hire ng additional lawyers, pinag-aralan ko muna saan ang problema. So this year, I have decided to merge two important groups, the fact-finding investigation group and the preliminary investigation group. We will be hiring additional lawyers. We will be creating satellite offices in each of the provinces throughout the Philippines. We will be hiring additional lawyers for each of the sectoral offices para po ang magre-represent sa Ombudsman sa mga cases before the regional trial courts or the municipal trial courts will no longer be the Department of Justice but the lawyers of the Office of the Ombudsman. So this year, I promise you na once naayos ko yung plantilla namin, which is already in the making before the end of the year, matatapos na, sisiguruhin ko po sa inyo na there will be additional lawyers in the Office of the Ombudsman. Investigation of cases will be speed up. Kabibilisan po namin investigasyon ng mga kaso. And I have proven that na madali lang naman pala. Pwede pala kami mag-imbestiga ng cases nang walang isang taon tapos kami sa investigasyon. So with this, pagpasensyaan lang po ninyo. yung mga unfilled positions ay sinisiguro ko po sa inyo mapifill up na po yan. But if there are unfilled positions tungkol sa mga administrative personnel, maaaring alisin ko na po yon. Kasi hindi po kailangan ng ombudsman yung mga non-lawyers. Mas kailangan po ng Office of the Ombudsman mga abogado. At mas kailangan po ng Office of the Ombudsman yung IT. Problema po namin sa Office of the Ombudsman ay yung aming IT. Itong taon po nito, na-discover namin na na-hack yung aming system. Yung mga may kaso pala sa amin, kaya pala alam nila kung nasaan ang kanilang mga kaso, kasi 3 tao pala ang nakatingin sa aming firewall. So, because of that, 2 of our personnel from the Management Information System are on preventive suspension because of this. Hindi ho biro na alam po ng respondent na ginagawa pa lang yung desisyon ay may nakakakita na. So there was a time when I advised the lawyers not to use the internet of the Office of the Ombudsman. Marami po kayong problema, but doon sa unfilled position, sinisiguro ko po sa inyo, Your Honor, na within the year, we'll be hiring additional lawyers for the Office of the Ombudsman. Marami pong salamat.
Justice, ilan po ngayon ang abogado ng Ombudsman?
Hindi ko po masyadong maano ang bilang, but nung araw po kasi may mga bureaus na kukunti po ang abogado, ayaw ng director mag-hire. But right now, according to this data given to me, there are about a total of 353 lawyers, all in all, from the central office to the sectoral offices. So, dadagdagan po namin ito ng another about 400 to 500 lawyers.
Ngayong taon pong ito?
Ngayong taon pong ito. And we're now starting to hire additional lawyers for the sectoral offices. Kasi, hindi ko alam kung dapat kong sabihin ito, iba-iba pa po sa yung numero ng abogado ng bawat sektor. I mean, the Ombudsman for the Visayas has a different number of personnel sa Ombudsman ng Mindanao, sa Ombudsman ng Luzon, o sa Ombudsman ng Muleo. Ang nangyari po noon ay nagpalakasan sa Ombudsman. Pag malakas ka sa Ombudsman at sinabi mo, ma'am, mag-hire ako ng additional lawyer, at sinabing okay, mag-hire ka ng additional lawyer. Isa pang problema sa Office of the Ombudsman ay yung wala naman term yung opisyal, pero mayroon siyang coterminous na item. Dapat ang mayroon ng coterminous employee ay yung may mga term. The Ombudsman, the Overall Deputy Ombudsman, and the Deputy Ombudsman. Dito po, pati director, mayroong coterminous employee. Kasi nung nakaraan po, palakasan nga. Isa ngayon, nagmukhang kontrabida ako sa Ombudsman, especially with the merger of 2 offices. Na ang sabi ko sa kanila, jokingly, whether you like it or don't, tutuloy ko yung merger. But I am serious. Those who will not abide by this, kung ayaw ninyo magtrabaho sa Office of the Ombudsman, they can all tender the resignations and transfer to other offices. I mean it because lagi kaming pinupuna, hindi lamang ng judiciary, but by the public, na ang bagal daw ng investigasyon ng kaso. So ngayon, bibilisan namin ang investigasyon ng kaso, pipilitin namin na ang kaso ay matapos ang investigasyon within a period of at least 2 years in accordance with the decision of the Supreme Court in one case. And incidentally, Your Honor, before I go further, yung pong kaso ni Parlade that was filed in 2022, which is 006, ay na-dismiss na po. Another case against Badoy, which was filed also in 2022, which is 008, is still ongoing investigation. The other cases pending against Parlade and other employees ng PCOO ay na-file po ito noong pang 2005. I will check on this and there's still ongoing investigation. That's why I'd like Your Honor to request the Honorable Congressman Manuel to give us a copy, a list of this. And before the end of the day, I will give you the status of these cases. Marami pong salamat.
Mr. Chair, let me just express my appreciation to all the pronouncements of our Honorable Ombudsman, most especially the combination of the fact-finding and the preliminary investigation into one office. Let me express also the appreciation of this representation to the attention he has accorded to the integrity of decisions and resolutions before they are released by the Office of the Ombudsman. Moving forward, Mr. Chair, It appears from the report that there are unused appropriations. For 2020, it's 615.1 million. For 2021, it's 518.3 million. And for 2022, it's 526.7 million. May we ask, what seemed to be the challenge of the Ombudsman on these unutilized amounts, which could have been utilized in the other needs and concerns of our country? Mr. Chair.
The Office of the Ombudsman on the unused appropriations, these are actually, they remain valid obligations until fully spent. The previous year's appropriations taken up as continuing appropriations are earmarked for other expenses, like prior year's obligation of wages increase for security and janitorial services. Aaminin ko po sa inyo nang tawag po sa akin ng COA, ako po ay isang waray-waray ng ugali Ilocano. So if you've noticed that two of our deputy ombudsman, one from the Visayas and one in Mindanao, are absent, because I told them, wag na silang pumunta, sayang yung pamasahe. Pambigay na nito ng bonus sa Pasko sa mga empleyado, pandagdag bonus. So, kung hindi po kami magtitipid, hindi po kami magkakaroon ng savings. And right now, I am trying to save more because of our plan to buy more hardware para sa aming IT, and which the software will be provided by a foreign country. Pero siyempre, yung hardware nun at sa pamasahin ng mga pupunta sa Pilipinas, isasagutin ng Office of the Ombudsman. Marami pong salamat.
That is well understood, Mr. Chair. But perhaps we can include in the 2024 budget of Ombudsman the needs of the office, as Ombudsman Martires already manifested before us. For the conviction rate, Mr. Chair, 2020, it is 61.2%. 2021, it is 42.7%, and 2022, it is 26.5%. With all due respect to our dear Ombudsman, although this represents the period where he is not yet appointed as such, can we explain that this decreasing rate of conviction of the Office of the Ombudsman?
Right now, Your Honors, mayroon kaming problema that Congress itself created for us. And this is the amended jurisdiction of the Sandigan Bayan. Doon po sa batas na yon, sa bagong jurisdiction ng Sandigan Bayan, there are cases na hindi na ipa-file sa Sandigan Bayan but will be filed with the lower courts. Ang nakasama pa roon sa batas na yon, sinasabi it should be filed in the adjacent judicial region where the accused, where the public officer is a resident. So if you are a resident of Naga City, that is Region 5, the case must either be filed before Region 4 or before Region 8. These are the adjacent regions, Region 5. Ang problema namin ngayon, pag final mo yung kaso sa executive judge ng Region 8, i-dismiss ng executive judge because there are no guidelines issued by the Supreme Court. Wala hong guidelines. So sa ngayon po, marami pong nakabinbin sa aming mga kaso, hindi namin alam saan ifa-file. Kami po ay at the loss. And that is why one of these days we will be recommending to Congress to amend this law. Ibalik na lang natin sa dating jurisdiction ng Sandigan Bayan ng filing ng cases. Instead of pretending to say that if the public officer is from Region 5, let the case be filed in the adjacent region. Pareho din naman ho ang resulta noon na i-file mo sa Region 5. Number two, on the rate of conviction, this is one aspect of our work where we are rated. Our performance is rated, also by the international community, and which is unfair to us, na ang aming performance is based on the conviction rate. Hindi po kami ang husgado. Iba po ang pananaw namin, insofar as we're concerned, there is probable cause for the filing of the information. Pero ang husgado po, ibang pananaw. Remember that no two, just as no two individuals are the same, even twins, wala hong abogado na pare-pareho ang pag-iisip. May mga abogado na taliwas ang pag-iisip sa katotohanan, may mga abogado na tamang pag-iisip.